ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me for another edition of Koncrete's Korner. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Brought to you by CCN, affiliated with Dope Dubs Productions. Thank you. Today, my list will consist of something near and dear to my heart. Here on the corner, I'm going to give you my top 5 Chris Benoit matches. Chris Benoit is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. To this day, gets a little, side eye for the more than shady ending to his life. Probably is keeping him out of the Hall of Fame right now, but his merit and work alone is more than deserving to get into the Hall of Fame. But it's like I said before, that ending with his family is just something people don't want to touch. You don't want to touch it with a 50-foot pole. I can't necessarily say I blame him. So I think a decision like that should be up to his family if they want him inducted into the Hall of Fame or whatnot. But off of merit and work alone, I think he deserves it. Now, kicking off my list, we're going to go with some honorable mentions here. Go ahead and get them out the way. First honorable mention. Go to the Royal Rumble match. Who do you face? Nobody. The entire Royal Rumble match. It's a great spectacle. Check it out. One of the few guy goes in very early and makes it believable that he can last that long and wins the match. So, pretty cool. Another one probably have to be, I'm going to go Bret Hart, Nitro, 99. I know that might ruffle a lot of feathers. It is a damn good match, but I just can't put it that high on the list. There's going to be a lot of that stuff if you see that and hold on through the list, which you will. I know you will. Another honorable mention. We'll go to Dean Malenko. Had great matches with Dean Malenko. Hog Wild 96 comes to mind. Great. Need to check it out. You can find that one on YouTube. Wait a minute. No, you can't. But you can try to find it. The last honorable mention I'm going to leave off is probably the one that probably should have made the list, but this is my personal favorite. Once again, it's my opinion. So, in my opinion, the WrestleMania main event match between Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit barely misses my list. I'm sorry. It barely does. Even though that's one of the crowning achievements of Chris Benoit's wrestling career, it was long overdue. And Vince had to finally get over, vanilla midgets and shit like that. So that's my last honorable mention. Now we're going to kick off the countdown with a somewhat newer, I ain't going to say newer, but this is a WWE work right here. We're going to kick it off with the Viper, Randy Orton versus Chris Benoit, SummerSlam 2004. This is Randy Orton's coming out party, if you will. This is the night where he won the championship for Chris Benoit. The match itself was pretty good. They worked really well with each other in previous matches. They meshed pretty good. All of my guys on this list mesh with Chris Benoit pretty well. If your match for some reason didn't make the list, that might be a reason why that it's not on there. But he works pretty good with Orton. The match elevated Orton to main event status, which is what main event guys are supposed to do with the up and comers. So Chris Benoit passes that check mark right there. You got technical. You got a good pace. You got high flying. Little shenanigans, even though it was, Evolution and Triple H. And there's a lot of shenanigans in his matches, which is why they don't really make my list like that. I like, one-on-one competition. And for the most part, this was pretty good. And it showed what Orton could do, and it still showed Chris Benoit could keep up. So, my number 5 will have to go to Randy Orton versus Chris Benoit, SummerSlam 2004. With that, my number 4 pick will have to go to Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero. Hold on. And we're back with the number 4 pick, which I was before I was interrupted. Goes to Eddie Guerrero. Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero, to be exact. Armageddon 2002. Probably out of all the guys on this list, they probably have the best and innovative back and forth sequences between the two. Got great chemistry. Almost conjoined at the hip when it comes to moves and things like that. Can't bring up one without the other, good or bad. They should, be inducted in the Hall of Fame. I think together, but that's another story. Probably the best of friends, so they know each other in and out the best. So that's probably why the chemistry and everything, even the botches, were acceptable because they did something to cover up the botches. So it's pretty good stuff. The stuff in WCW is great, but I picked this match because they're both polished at this point. If you want to see them like just straight go, I suggest just finding the old WCW Nitro match or even the Saturday night match where they first starting out and just going at it like madmen. I suggest that before anything. So my number 4 would be Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero. Armageddon 2002. Number 3 this evening goes to one of my personal favorite matches. It's not that high on a whole bunch of people's list when it comes to Chris Benoit, but I feel like it doesn't get a lot of love that it deserves. It brought out another wrestler. It brought him to the forefront. He brought out the best in them. They made good matches. They meshed well with their different styles. Who I'm talking about, you ask? The next match in this series is Chris Benoit versus Booker T, the best of 7 series in WCW. To be specific, my personal favorite is match number 2 on Thunder 1998. I think it was in May. I don't have the exact date. But I remember this series since I was little. Like, I had to catch every match of that series because the matches were so good. And I was like young at the time. I didn't know what great wrestling was. I knew what bad wrestling was to me. I knew what I didn't like and I knew what I liked. And I loved this. It was straight action. You didn't know who was going to win. I wanted Booker T to win, and lo and behold, the man did. Spoiler alert. But it was just great till the end. It felt like a real competitive series, like in sports. Like he went down 3-1 and had to come back. No one usually comes back out of a 3-1 deficit in anything, and they really sold that. And that made the moment that much special at the end of the day. Like I said before, it elevated both of the wrestlers at the end of the day. It was deceptively technical. I mean, the work was good. It's not like a guy was just a straight athlete and all he could do was slams and kicks and stuff. It was technical. The guys could go, and they showed that throughout the whole series. Each match got better as the series went on, it seemed. The chemistry was just bar none, and it showed that Chris Benoit could work with anybody and just make chicken salad out of chicken shit. It didn't matter who you threw him in the ring with. It doesn't matter. So my number 3 will go to Chris Benoit versus Booker T. WCW Thunder 1998. Why is that a tongue twister? Don't ask me. Best of 7 series. Go check it out. Not the WWF one. No, I shunned that one. I mean, yeah, it's still okay, but it's not what it should have been or what they tried to recreate. Sorry, guys. Number 2 will go to Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho. Which match, you ask, because they've had so many. We're not talking about I think the Insurrection. Did they wrestle one time in Insurrection, or was it Unforgiven? They had a match at a pay-per-view, and it was pretty good. They had a match before they hit WCW and ECW over in New Japan in the Junior Cup. I think it was a tournament. They had a great match there, but that's not the one that makes my list. The one that makes my list that you probably haven't heard yet, and if you have seen Chris Jericho matches that I'm talking about, is the Royal Rumble 2001, the ladder match. Yes. They had great chemistry with each other because they have already worked with each other around the world. The clash of styles is a great mesh, almost like Booker T. The styles mesh real good together. It was brutal. Like, out of all the ladder matches I remember, that one was like the more brutal. Like, yeah, it had your high spots there, but it wasn't spot fest. Like if Jeff Hardy or Seth Rollins or CM Punk or Kofi Kingston was in a ladder match. You know what I mean? It was good. It was high flying, and it was just brutal because they used the ladder in like ways like, I'm gonna kill you, you son of a bitch. Like ways like that. It was like, there was like hate with the ladder, and I liked that. So my number 2 would go to probably one of the stiffest ladder matches I've seen with Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. Royal Rumble 2001. Check it out. Now, we've come to my number 1. I wish I had a drum roll, but I don't need one. I won't keep you with the suspense too long. My number 1 match will have to go to somebody I haven't said on this list yet. Innovator of his time, well respected. Missed to this day, probably could still go. My number 1 match would have to be Chris Benoit versus the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle, in the Royal Rumble 2003. What else can you say, man? They had plenty of great matches. Insurrection, WrestleMania 17. The tag matches, when they tagged with Edge and Rey Mysterio. Fatal 4-Ways, Triple Threats, the one at WrestleMania. But out of all that, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, just even more than almost Eddie Guerrero, it seems. Eddie Guerrero's moveset is more innovative than Kurt's, but when it comes down to straight technical wrestling, amateur wrestling, straight, if pro wrestling was a real sport, wrestling, these two guys are who you make your company after. And these two guys are like the example shown in the Webster's Dictionary. I mean, they show off amateur wrestling skills. I think one of their matches was like a 4 out of 5 stars, or maybe a 4.5 out of 5 star match, like official rating. They complement each other too well. They work stiff matches, but you know, they know what they're doing, so they're kind of safe out there. The matches had good psychology. They felt great. They felt like actual competitive battles instead of pro wrestling. I got suspended in the moment very easily watching these matches. Straight pro wrestling, nothing but. Each match got better than the last. And when you consistently improve, that means you're trying, that means you're working great. That means the guy that you are working with are on the same effing page. That's why the matches were so good. That's why you should need to check one out. That's why you should remember Chris Benoit. And that's why Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle at the Royal Rumble 2003 is my favorite match out of Chris Benoit. Now, there are plenty I left off. There are plenty we could talk about. But that's what debate is for. That's what you are for. When we get our stuff to you on a more sophisticated level, we can debate back and forth with the comments and things like that. But for now, this is the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. I felt like I had a good time. I hope you had a good time. For the CCN, I am Koncrete, affiliated with Dope Dubs Productions. I ain't talking Mick Foley when I tell you to have a nice day. We'll see you the next time.